I was born on the Six Nations Reserve, raised my whole life there. I still reside on the reserve with my wife, who is also from the Six Nations. We've been married now for about 40, and we have 4 grandkids from our family. I have a son who's a police officer on the Six Nations Reserve. Another son lives in Nashville, him and his family there. And a daughter who's finishing studies at McMaster University in Hamilton. I was born into a family of 7 brothers and 1 sister. Actually, they were quite artistic themselves. But I think where we got that from was my dad, even though he never went to school or never went very far in school, he was a carpenter and he was self-taught, and he could really design a lot of things like kitchen cabinets, that sort of thing. So he was creative, and I think that's where the creativeness comes in. You know, like we didn't learn anything from our elementary school years. There was no culture taught at all, no hard work that I remember or ever seeing of culture. And that's what I wanted to do, was pursue that. And because I was brought up traditionally, I knew a lot of things as far as culture is concerned. And so I started to paint about those things, the clans and you know, the symbolism. And I wanted to put that in pictures so that the kids growing up today, they have culture to look at. I think that pictures are easily remembered more than words, and so by doing that, by doing the clans and all the cultural things, I think I had some influence on a lot of the younger people today, that they themselves do artwork and they bring out a lot of the culture. That's one thing that I'm proud of.
He's very humble man, very soft-spoken. You know, he sticks to his values, his traditions, and his culture, and all of his work. You see it throughout. You see the storytelling elements he portrays, and you know, you see a lot of that, and it's not always common in a lot of people's art, but it's always like a staple in almost all of them, that there's some element of either a legend or a part of our culture, whether it's the clans you see, the Tree of Peace, all those symbols are in his artwork, and I think that's important as well for him. He's very proud of his heritage, and that shows in his artwork.
Arnold is very genteel. He's a community man. He loves sports. He's very quiet. He wants to say things, but he says it visually within his art. You know, if we never had, I look at him and I often think that he's a community artist, because he was able to translate his longhouse tradition into the art forms, contemporary art forms. And people don't realize how many people that influenced. The clans, the eagle, the gawillo, you name it. He has somehow reflected on those traditions.
Sego, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to tonight's artist talk.
This show is great because it is a retrospective on it's not really just his art, but his like sort of life in art. You know, like this is a span of at least 20 years of his life, and for people to sort of see all of that in one show is a rare thing to see. We don't do too many retrospectives here at the center.
It's definitely been worth our while being here tonight. Actually, we both have skipped out of Tai Chi class tonight to be here because there was just no doubt that this is, you know, where we wanted to be. We've always loved spending time with him at his studio, and it's just been a joy to see his art displayed in such a large room with the lighting, because of course his studio has never been able to have all of his art up like this. So it's been great.
I want to thank everyone for coming out on such a chilly night. I started painting in 1970, serious painting. My paintings are an extension of my cultural upbringing, which my traditional parents instilled in me by going to Longhouse, and I'm grateful for their guidance. As far as the artist talk was concerned, I did feel a little uncomfortable, but because I really don't talk too much about my work. I like to let them speak for themselves.
And the technique seems, a bit different than some of the new. I just love the flying woman. One where it shows the turtle as North America, and she's being flown in by the Canadian geese. And actually, I was asking him because I was curious, because the theme tonight is eagles, and I recall having seen that piece, and I think I was so captured by the pregnant woman that I saw the birds, but I didn't really look at them and realize that they were Canadian geese. So tonight he was telling me that the reason for the Canadian geese is because of the coloring.
This particular painting, Sky Woman Descending Great Turtle Island, I wanted to justify, I guess, why our people call North America Great Turtle Island. And so from taking this story of Sky Woman coming down and having a sort of panoramic view of North America, you can see the Great Lakes here, and even this little image down here that sticks out here is supposed to be the muskrat. That's the reason for this particular painting, is that it's just to justify why North America referred to as Great Turtle Island. So the title of the show actually came from this painting, The Eagle Shall Keep Watch. And this was one of my first oil paintings, large oil paintings, and in our culture the eagle keeps watch over the pine tree, our symbol of peace, which this shows here. When I actually did this painting, I was just going to have a blue sky in there. Just from my brushwork, I could see these images start to come about. So I changed that into a rock formation instead, because the clans started to come into picture there. So that's why it ended up the way it is, with sort of a rock formations with our various clans in the background there.
I work at the Kitchener-Waterloo Art Gallery, and I'd seen his work there, so I'd wanted to sort of see a larger representation of it. I think my favourite one's probably Birth of the Earth. They're all incredible works, but that one in particular is quite moving, I think, because of I suppose the female energy in it. It's very powerful in that sense.
This painting is called Birth of the Earth, and it's taken from the creation story. A woman who lived in the sky, she fell through this hole in the earth. She was looking for medicine. When she fell, these geese saw her falling, and they brought her down. This giant turtle offered his back for support. There's a muskrat, went down into the bottom of this sea and brought up some earth. This he gave to the Sky Woman, as we call her. And she started spreading this earth from the center and going ever increasing circles till the earth was formed on the turtle's back. The children are supposed to learn that the earth is a living thing. It supports them, grows their food, and they are made from the earth, so they are part of it. And so the teaching really is that they learn to respect the earth from this story, Birth of the Earth. As an artist, I don't think I have really one particular style. I do different approaches to each of my work. Some might work in a graphic form, which is this style here. It's called White Buffalo Catwoman. And so it's done with more of a design or a graphic. And it's actually about the Lakota Sioux story of this white buffalo. And when I heard about it, I wanted to do a picture of that, and so I came up with this graphic. So that's one way of doing art. Another one is, I don't know whether I incorporate graphics and sort of realism or surrealism into more of a picture like this. This person, even though he has a bow and arrow, he's not going to war. He's hoping that there will be good hunting. That's a dance that is done, and the lead dancer uses that as a symbol so that there will be good hunting. And the deer is the most prized meat because it doesn't eat other animals. It only eats leaves or grass or bark. So its meat is most valuable.
I think Arnold has been influenced by his training. He went to a technical school in which there was you produced logos, advertising, design, and he is an impeccable designer. If you go into a room or even you go into his gallery, you'll find everything seems to be in place. Nothing seems to be out of place. But that's Arnold. That is his aesthetic. So no matter how you're very much following this design tradition, it also translates into your art as well. So you'll find many images that Arnold has rendered are also very influenced by design and color and space. He's not interested in his place in art history. He wasn't interested in modernism. He wasn't interested in expressionism or pop art or installation or performance. All of these art traditions have gone by him, and he just continued to do what he did and what he did well.
But this one here is what I call a little bit looser treatment. It's done on canvas. When you paint on canvas, it has a little more give to it, and so you can be a little looser yourself as far as the painting. But this one here, well, these figures here show that our people fought with each other a long time ago, and the red there represents the bloodshed that went on at the time. And when the peacemaker came, the color purple is sort of a healing color, and so he comes in his canoe made of white stone, and this purple feeling, or this purple color, brings a feeling of calmness and even over the top, and so it gives it a more pleasant feeling to it. I just like being a little freer with my brush. I like the results of this because it's a little looser than a lot of paintings that I do, and of course symbolism is included here with the pine tree, 4 white roots, and the eagle is watching over the tree. What inspires me most is just my culture, because I don't think, like I say, when I was growing up I never saw anything like that, and so as you grow older and you learn more of what your culture is about, that's what inspires me, because other people learn from my pictures. Actually, I do commercial work too. I do. If somebody wants a logo designed for their business or something like that, I usually get jobs like that. Produce a logo for them, and they always like. I go by they have input into what they want, and then using that, I come up with a design. It lets me be creative again on the design part of it. When I'm home everybody's gone to bed, I get out my sketchbook and I come up with a lot of ideas, and quiet, and Usually I like to do that late at night with only my pencil and my sketchbook. A lot of different ideas, but that's where a lot of them start. Besides doing paintings, original paintings, and sketching, I like to do some architectural concepts. Architects come from a background of art anyway, and so I try to approach a concept from our culture. The concept model for the school is derived from traditional Haudenosaunee perspectives and values. At the core is a gymnasium representing the longhouse where certain ceremonies and activities take place. The surrounding hallways are circular, the form to which certain ceremonies and dances take place. Classrooms sprout out from the core, representing the 4 white roots of peace. The area in between the classrooms are the 4 winds, 4 seasons, and the 4 cycles of life. This concept was developed by traditional thinking of the Six Nations community. More rightly, I guess, the Haudenosaunee community, and I am a member of that community. The idea of this imagery on a plane came from natives from across Canada who worked in Ottawa. They were called the Aboriginal Tourism Team Canada. They came up with this idea, and they approached Air Canada about it, and they liked the idea too. Promoting Aboriginal tourism, that was the whole idea. The contest about the airplane actually came from a letter that was sent out to about 200 artists, native artists across Canada. They said your design might be draping the fuselage of an Air Canada plane. When I got the letter, I thought, that's a pretty big canvas. I don't know if I could do that. So what you had to do was submit photographs of your former work, designs, whatever you had, to send to them. I think there was 32 entries, or 32 people who were interested. And out of the 32, they selected 4 finalists. What we had to do was, from each artist, to do 1 design, so that they actually had like 4 to choose from, right? There's so many things you have to take into account, because the body of that is round, and it's the length of it, and the wings. The design had to correspond, the eagle had to correspond with the wings of the airplane itself. That was how the project as far as came about, and I was fortunate that they selected my design out of the 4 to be on the Air Canada plane.
To have your image that you designed on the side of a huge Boeing plane, I mean, that would be pretty exciting. And I think when it first got announced that he had won, I remember reading in like the Tech Art, one of the local papers, and I thought, that is like so cool. Like a guy from our community was able to, win this contest and get his design on the side of an Air Canada jet. That's pretty exciting. And I actually always wondered if it traveled, the plane, because I travel a lot in my job and I've never seen it, but in December I was coming back from England and I saw it on the tarmac and I was like, it does exist, that plane does still run, so it's beautiful.
I felt so proud that he was selected from all across Canada to design that Air Canada jet. And amazingly, that eagle indeed works. I mean, when you see that plane pull into Toronto airport, I can remember when I first saw it, I felt so proud, and I had to go and watch it circle the terminal and finally land.
They did it exactly to my drawing. One thing we did just prior to the unveiling of it to the public, the elders that were from the West, there were 2 of them, we did a smudging of the whole plane. We walked around the whole plane and did for the directions of the plane itself, and then we all smoked a pipe after, a little bit. but that was done just prior to the plane, so they wanted to give a blessing more or less for the plane itself. A year after the launching of the plane, I got this box in the mail, and I was wondering what it was. And when I opened it up, it was all packaged very nice, cushions all around it, but what it was a model of the actual design, table model, was the size of it. They sent it to me like a year later, and so that's good memento for me to keep. I want to keep it for my grandkids so that they can see that their grandpa was able to do something spectacular. Okay, we're located at the Middleport Plaza, and this is my shop in front of the store. You can go inside and see what it's all about. Paintings here are all, some are original, some are prints from original, and they can buy them right off the wall or have one ordered. If they see a particular one, I can order the picture and have it framed up for them. And over here we have a nice display of carvings, all made by local artists here on Six Nations. They're all soapstone pretty well. Some do deer antlers, and always with the culture in it. Some symbolism, the clans, and they all have their own way of doing things, their own style. Some are contemporary, some are traditional.
His gallery is, I think, probably one of the best assets that we have within our community. It certainly is reflective of his work, but it isn't a closed community. He also looks at other people within the community, particularly the stone sculptors, and he's done stone and some bone himself. And so it's a collection of all of that. And he does very well, I think, in terms of marketing the arts from this area.
Also, I carry a variety of t-shirts, sweatshirts, and again with a lot of the cultural symbols, like lacrosse is a big thing around here. And you would have some with iron workers. I have one with a name I call them Skywalkers. Quite popular. And these are all my own designs, pretty well on all the t-shirts. Again, they have symbolism in it. I like this one here because it's has a lot of the sun, the moon, wind, and rain, water. They all affect us on this earth, and that's why it's called the power of nature. It affects us at one time or another. And also we have some cards that I'd come up with in designs, showing different things. Again, peace symbol being the pine tree. Some have peace and friendship, the peace pipe, birthday. I just show very simple form. I don't put a lot of background in them. And this section here has a lot more of the color in it, and it has a lot of the clans, very stylized form of the particular clan. Very simple, keeping clean lines in them. This is very popular here, the creation. It has a whole story on the back explaining the symbolism of the turtle. The whole image, actually. Some are produced from one of my original paintings, not all of them, but some of them. So there's a variety of cards here that I have available too. I also do some hat designs. People have like to wear some sort of symbolism on their cap. A lot of them have lacrosse or Six Nations and wampum belt with the eagle on it. They're popular item.
There's very few artists who will take it on themselves to make their art into a business like Arnold has. He has an art gallery of all his own work, but I know he does show some other artists like sculptors and stuff like that too. But there's very few artists who will go down that road. A lot of them, will sell their stuff to maybe larger art gallery dealers in Toronto or Montreal. But for an artist like him to do that, it's a rare thing to see artists go into that, and it's good though. I think it's good so that it gives the other up-and-coming artists that realization that you can do this. He's made it a success. He's had it for a number of years.
Sometime in the future, I was hoping to build a gallery that was really unique, rather than just four walls and a square building. I wanted something that would be really focus for the community here to showcase our talent of all the native artists. And what I came up with was I based it on my logo with the two turtles joining hands, sort of. It has an eagle sort of overlooking the entrance, two eagles. In the background, I was envisioning a flower garden surrounding the rear. I was trying to figure out how to make the roof to be supported in this design. And so I put some structures in there to see, or to show how the roof would work. The idea was to be unique, be attractive, and be a focal point for tourism. So that was the idea that I was hoping to envision with my concept here of Two Turtle Art Gallery. So someday I might be able to do such a dream.